Michigan International Speedway, a racetrack that has long been feared and revered, home to one of the few 250-mile races throughout the High Tide Race League history. Today, it is playing part to one of the closing races of the regular series season rather than a playoff round. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Ole Babel alongside Derek Watson. We are bringing you all of our racing action from Monday night from the state of the Great Lakes. My goodness, Derek, it's a beautiful day whenever we go racing out here at Michigan International Speedway, a track that has long been known for the thrilling action get put on iRacing. That fact still remains. We're in for a good one tonight.
Yeah, it's a beautiful racetrack. Look at it here in the track facts. You see here 2 miles in length. Got a pretty cool tip, so probably a little bit more grip in the track than we're used to. And it's a beautiful sized racetrack. We're gonna come around here and be some loose race cars, some tight racing, a little bit of drafting, and a lot of driver control needed around this facility.
A lot of driver control needed indeed, and all of that will definitely be putting a huge hand in how this championship might continue to shake up. It's not the Michael Thorpe Jr. points that we thought we would have entering today. Instead, it is Dalton Kilroe that sits atop the points boards, but not by much, only up by 8, with Thorpe still hot on his heels for that GGA Esports number 34. Scott Shire picking up the number 3 spot with Dees and Pig for the top 5. Once again, though, all eyes on the top 12, where Connor Gibson barely maintaining a 4-point gap over Jason Greenwell.
Yeah, Greenwell's back there. Ty Marasco's back there, who's had an amazing couple of weeks. Tanner Marr, Sean Williams. So there's lots of names going to be battling as these weeks get closer and closer to the cutoff date, Nolan. So we'll wait and see how these points turn out. But don't miss the top of that leaderboard. I'm telling you, Michael Thorpe's on a roll.
Oh, no kidding. Michael Thorpe has been having an absolutely phenomenal season for himself so far, and I don't think that can ever be understated. This could be finally the season where he can take home a championship if he can keep this momentum rolling forward. But so many drivers are going to be looking to challenge him as well. Among those is Dustin Ping. Had a very rocky start to his season. He has since bounced back and fought his way comfortably into the top 12, and in fact has even now put himself into the top 5 after a strong showing last week at Bristol.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see how Dustin does here. This will be an interesting run here tonight, Nolan, because this is going to be the one kind of big track. All it was feels like a schedule of small tracks, so I'm really curious to see how many drivers have to take a few laps to adjust here. And this may be a big track, and it may be 250 miles, but you have to be on your toes at all times here at Michigan. You have to be ready to go. Passing can be difficult here.
Passing can indeed be a premium, and that is definitely going to make things extra difficult this afternoon. Draft is going to be oh so important. And there's a lot that we got in store for us here this afternoon. Before we get to all of that, though, we, of course, have got to go through our opening ceremony. So let's take ourselves in with a quick rundown of your United States of America national anthem as we prep things up for the starting grid. And with all of that, we are ready to get this show on the road. 26 cars getting ready to grid on up for, 26 cars ready to grid on up for the Butch Wilkerson Memorial from the Michigan International Speedway. Derek, this is, of course, a race that will once again not have the typical starting procedures that we see on a week-to-week basis. There's something special that this field has in mind, and I think you'll be able to tell us why. Yeah,
of course, we start with sort of, you said it not knowingly, I think. We're going to start with this very non-traditional grid here. This is what iRacing does, right? These sideways starts, not part of the honor and service that the drivers are going to pay tonight, but we'll start with this moment here. Wait for everyone to get on the grid. Got about a minute left. There we go. Starting to pull off already. And you'll see the leaders come on around. We're going to do a 4-wide salute here, Nolan, and we're going to pay homage and honor and tribute and respect to an extended member of the High Tide Racing League family. This is Dustin Ping's grandpa, Richard D. Butch Wilkerson. Passed away November 27, 2024, born September 1st, 1944. Richard Butch Wilkerson was 80 and lived in Columbus, Ohio, where he died at Willow Crossing on November 27, 2024. Wilkerson began his racing career back in 1962 at Brownstown Speedway. He quickly became a force in Bloomington, Lawrenceburg, and the Tri-State Speedways, where he won several track championships. Then in 1972, he won the first Ed Shepard Memorial Race at Paragon, which he was always very proud of. And then Nolan, in 1974, he teamed up with car owners Jim and Helen McQueen with Owen Snyder as his chief mechanic. And in 1975, they were nearly unbeatable in their STAP chassis #1 machine. Wilkerson's 1975 season was remarkable, with it featured 29 wins and an astounding 55 top 3 finishes out of 77 races. However, everything changed at the end of the 1979 USAC season when Wilkerson suffered a severe head injury in a crash. He was in a coma for 28 days at Medford Hospital in Indianapolis. And the long recovery process not only forced him out of racing, but also ended his dream of qualifying for the 1980 Indianapolis 500. That was a race where he had planned to race for legendary car owner Jack Rhodes. Now, Wilkerson's contributions to racing were recognized with his induction into the Little 500 Hall of Fame and the Hoosier Auto Racing Fans Hall of Fame, where he was inducted in 2004. In 1980, he received the HARF Pat O'Connor Award, an honor that moved him deeply and brought him to tears anytime he would talk to you about it. Now, Wilkerson's legacy in racing will continue, not only as a champion on track, but as a beloved figure who shared his passions for sport and his faith with all who crossed his path. That, again, is the passing of Dustin Ping's grandfather, Richard T. Butch Wilkerson. You see the field here going through a 4-wide salute, paying their honor and their homage to this individual. And let me tell you, Nolan, my heart breaks for Dustin. I don't talk about it a lot, but I suffered the loss of a loved one during the holiday season, and it's something that sticks with you forever, because you can't have a holiday without thinking about those moments and that person, and just trying to deal with it the best you can. And so my heart breaks for Dustin. It's a hard moment. But what you got to love about leagues like this, Nolan, is look at this. These guys, most of them have no idea with respect to who Richard Butch Wilkerson was. But the camaraderie, the family, the support, the respect they have for one another creates moments like this.
It's a community, right? It's a big community. The relationships we foster, while we may only know each other in the virtual space, they are very, very much real. And the respect that is shown between these drivers for one another cannot be understated either. And it's always good to be able to, pay honor to those that have come before us, especially those that have such a rich history in this field that we consistently love to take part in. And we hope that, Butch, wherever you are now, you'll be right there alongside with us for the next 125 laps. Taking a rundown quickly through the starting grid. Austin Edstrom on the pole alongside Michael Jr. with Levine in third. Osborne is fourth. Then it is Kilroe, Schlosser, Lacey, Chastain, Martin making his first start in the High Tide Racing League in ninth with Lakey, rounding out the top 10.
Moving back to Michael Keithley and Scott Schauber, 11th and 12th. Dustin Ping and Michael Ashmore, 13th, 14th. Paul Seth Mary and Larry Bell. And then Kevin Foster, Bob Berry, Connor Gibson, and Tanner Marr round out your top 20.
Moving down through the field, it's Brian Zimmerman, Jonathan Canfield, Jason Greenwell with Ty Marasco, Nick Osipeg, and Anthony Marshall closing out the field. Two drivers on the bottom row, not putting down a lap here in qualifying. And Dalton Kilroe will be starting his race from pit road. So working our way through turn numbers 3 and 4. And boy, we are in for a wild trip on this afternoon. Derek, it's the moment that everybody always waits for, week in, week out, and it's finally time to once again get this party started. The field will work their way into the Geico restart zone. 25 cars roar to life. Let's go racing from Butch Wilkerson. Working off of turn number 4, Edstrom leads lap 1 to green. Justin Levine for the Frontline Esports crew picking up the top 2. The top 3 on a huge breakaway, while we fan on 3 looking for 4 wide down the front straightaway.
Yeah, nearly 4 wide. What a move here. And listen, there's plenty of space for that at Michigan. I said that as John Osborne almost got doored. Now he finds himself 4 wide here in the middle of the corner.
Look at Dustin Ping shuffling up to the outside lane, trying to make something happen as they work down the back chute. Matt Schlosser's caught in the middle of this. Osborne now side by side with David Lakey. There's Shire looking to the inside, and way to the bottom side is going to be Connor Gibson. The number 31 Bass Pro Shops Chevy Camaro making ground early on. Shire trying to put it 4 wide up the middle.
Wow, I thought Gibson was going to come up there and just say hello to that black and green machine, but he kept it down there and did a pretty good job. There's still 3 wide, and I love this track for this reason right here. Look, there's plenty of space there, Nolan. We could probably get, what, 2 more cars in there, make it 5 wide if we wanted to. Now, maybe not advised for the drivers, but they can make it happen, and maybe they will as this race goes on. But look at everyone here sorting themselves out here. Some movement definitely up and down the field already. Craig Martin already up to P5. Up 4 spots.
Oh, as you say that, it gets shuffled up out of the groove, almost into the outside wall off of 4. He'll immediately drop all the way back to the number 9 position. Something big has happened to that number 30 car coming around through turn 4.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the 30 car and see what has happened here, but let's look at the replay right now and take a look here. He's kind of stuff up here, I think a little high on the groove.
Ooh, boy.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, it looked like he kind of checked up quickly behind the black and blue machine. And not sure if maybe that checkup's kind of threw the weight of the balance off, or I don't know what happened, but quickly that car climbed the hill.
Looking like he got a little bit loose there to me, Derek, and that's probably what washed him up the racetrack. Well, that's been going on. We now got a fight underway for the race lead. Justin Levine looking to the inside of Austin Edstrom, trying to take the top spot early with Thorpe in tow.
Yeah, stop me if you saw this before, right? This happened last week as well, where Levine quickly worked himself to the front of the field and then had some unfortunate incidents thereafter that kept him from getting back to front. But here he is racing side by side, trying to keep Edstrom up against the wall. And we'll see who gets better run. Here's Michael Thorpe with the best seat in the house right here. Just going to watch both drivers and decide which lane to follow. Levine gets the better run, so Thorpe tried to follow and then gets up the hill. And hold on, caution's out. Oh, that's John Osborne.
Not the only one collected either. Kevin Foster with huge damage on the front end of his race car, and just like that, we will not go caution-free like we did in Season 2 when 22 Gen 4s took to challenge this racetrack. Caution 1 comes out early, just on lap number 6.
Pretty early indeed, so wait and see how the strategy falls here, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's watch. Here's Osborne in the front of that shot, that multicolored Tide machine. And I maybe got a little nick from that 22 machine up there, maybe, but then he got loose and couldn't hold the car. And it just sort of slid up the hill, and he got in contact with other drivers. But I was curious, Nolan, what you thought. Did he maybe get a small nick in the bumper from the 22?
I think he did. I think Zimmerman might have caught him. We'll definitely get a look on board with Zimmerman to see if that was indeed the case. But we'll get to that after we check to see who, if anybody, comes down pit road.
I bet lots of people do.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you and I have heard conflicting reports all night somewhere between what, 25 and 31 laps for a tank of fuel. So 6 laps is already, 25% of that, depending upon, or 20% of that, depending upon your number. Yeah, absolutely. Come down here, at least put fuel in it. I probably wouldn't change tires yet, but I'll put some fuel in this machine.
Connor Gibson, the lone driver, staying out on the racetrack.
Let's see if anyone lifts their tires here, Nolan. I'm curious to see. I don't see. No, this is fuel only for most people, I believe, because I didn't see any cars with the jacks lifting them off the ground.
Matthew Chastain with a devastating mistake, though, in pit road as this number 12 car missed his box, drove all the way through, so it was all for nothing for Chastain. Now he has got 2 options. He can either try to fade again right to the rear and pit now, or he can hedge his bets on staying up in front. The good news, no tire disadvantage right now for anybody throughout this field. Take another look at what happened.
Yeah, here it is again. That's already past the moment, but I think there's, oh man. I think there's a small neck. What happens for Osborne, though, once that car gets loose, you're sort of off the throttle trying to hang on to it, and then you're losing speed on the field, and you're going to get run over in that moment. Here it is from Zimmerman. Oh, it is the slightest of nicks. Now, let's talk about the pending update that's coming to iRacing tomorrow. Nolan, here's an interesting thing to talk about. 2 things from this race already. One, it is possible, starting with the update on tomorrow, that these cars, wow, right in the middle of your living room is where that car went to, that these cars may not be fixable anymore, Nolan. It is possible that the crew chiefs down on pit road will determine these cars are too damaged to continue. And when I see a hard hit like that to John Osborne, I think, man, if this happened next week, he might be done.
Most likely, right? And I mean, it's difficult to really kind of judge how all that's going to pan out. We have had a few takers coming back down the pit road. Levine and
this is more surprising.
Chastain is in a pit road again. I'm not too surprised there. I am surprised he was already fading backwards. You wonder maybe he got a speeding penalty when he first came down pit road and got slapped with the longest line penalty.
I think when you came back to the camera shot live, I think he was merging up to the track too soon. I think he may have gotten his right tires were already above the yellow line. I noticed that when we were talking, so I'm thinking maybe he got slapped for that by the race officials. The other thing to talk about with the new system, you and I had a brief talk pre-broadcast, Nolan, is about this new debris system and how marbles are going to work. We saw that yellow, I think number 50 machine get up in the top of the track in Michigan earlier. It's possible to have some marbles up there starting next week and have some dirt up there, and that will greatly affect the handling and the grip out of the groove. So lots to look forward to next week when we go to Iowa. I'm excited to see how this update works, what it does for us, and what these drivers learn before next Monday night. Wait, did you catch that? I mean, so we were reading the tribute for Dustin's grandpa. Now, obviously, the race seasons are a little shorter nowadays, Nolan. He said his was 77 weeks, but like, what was that, like over 30 top 3 finishes? That was amazing.
Yeah, 55, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, right? That's, I mean, not absurd, but
yeah.
Wow.
Holy cow. Talk about a record. That's not one that many people can post to, so you have to give him props for that. Green flag is back in the air. Connor Gibson, Michael Thorpe Jr. side by side down to turn 1. Lacey giving Thorpe the push down towards that opening corner, and there you see Dustin Ping starting to fade back in the 11.
Yeah, look at this top 4 here, by the way. It's going to be Gibson, Thorpe, Ping, and Lacey. Missing from it is Justin Levine. He's one of those cars that came down a second time, Nolan. I'm surprised by the second stop. I get why we want fuel in the car, but I don't know that I would put myself back in this part of the field by stopping a second time. But both Levine and Edstrom did it. So we'll wait and see how it plays out. Here's Levine, though, on the bottom of the track. He's going to get down there. Edstrom's going to ride that apron, try and find some more grip down there. But Levine's sitting here bottom 3 wide.
Edstrom trying to follow in Levine's draft. I've been trying to make something happen to go to, through to the point, but one other driver trying to go to the point, Dustin Ping, working around the high side, and now Ping leads the Butch Wilkerson Memorial. Gibson and Thorpe, they'll go now double file down towards turn number 3. Thorpe shoots for the bottom side of the racetrack, and the Bass Pro Shops track post number 31 working to the higher lane of 3 and 4. Lacey trying to find a way to get through.
I'm not sure he is actually, Nolan. Listen, this is not a traditional drafting track. This isn't Daytona. It's not Talladega. We probably won't be bump drafting here and having the 2-3 wide lanes. But you do want to draft here. You want to pick up some speed from your competitors. Look at that loose car in front of him. But you do want to save some gas here. So I'm not sure if Lacey's looking to pass or if he's looking to sit in line and save some valuable fuel here. I say that as he pulls out the line.
Might be just be trying to figure out who to help, right? I mean, you got to pick who you want to help here very, very carefully, because especially how quickly it can change. It's not like Daytona where once you pick a partner, you're stuck with it. You can shift that partner around all the live-long day with how this track operates. Now Lacey gets himself into the number 3 spot. Connor Gibson up to 2nd with Dustin Ping still leading the way by a good distance. Everyone else, I think, is kind of a bit of a mad scramble from behind for positions further down the pack. But for the most part, either single or double file, not seeing too much in the way of 3 wide anymore off this restart.
No, this racetrack gets a little too loose for 3 wide to work for too long here, because especially out of these corners, these cars tend to move around. They tend to snap around a little bit. You've seen it already where cars are just kind of riding up the hill. That's them trying to kind of find their own way to hold on to the car and not lose control. Look at that beautiful move by the 34 down there. That is Michael Thorpe. He just got weighed from the top of the track to the bottom of the track.
Thorpe looking to get himself back up onto the podium. He started up there in 2nd off the restart. He's going to lose momentum from that inside lane. Oh, gets a little crossed up as he comes off of turn 2 there. So Thorpe will slide into the 5th place position. Thorpe right now with a lot of supporters watching on Green Flag TV. He is definitely using all of that to give himself a little bit of extra horsepower. They're still fighting for 2nd.
Yeah, Michael had a big fan club watching last week as well. Came out of that exciting finish, and he was very, very happy to have a lot of friends and colleagues watching along. So here he goes again. All right, well, here's going to have the top. He's going to try to suck in the draft here from the top here and see what he can pull off. But boy, I got to tell you, Nolan, there's something fitting about Dustin Ping leading this race.
No kidding, right? Could you ask for a better driver to potentially be leading the way of this Memorial race? It's not to say, though, that the other drivers aren't going to want to go for that W, though, right? Points are still on the line here this afternoon, and I think Connor Gibson might have finally found something in that 31 entry.
Yeah, he might have. We'll wait to take a look and see here. Oh, a little bump there from Connor Gibson. I felt like he maybe got just the back of Dustin Ping, just trying, not bumping around, just trying to maybe offset his line a little bit. Look at this though, look how wide this track is. That's a beautiful camera shot right there, Nolan, where you can see just how far apart they were and how they come back together, and Dustin Ping couldn't merge up fast enough, and now he will get past down this back straight.
Connor Gibson round the outside line, still trying to just rip that 4th seam up there, straddling that line as he is going to take that lead away around the top side of turn 4 from Dustin Ping. Benjamin Lacey going up to the top shelf too. Now the big problem that Ping's got to worry about, how is this going to end up impacting those tires versus running the low line?
I'm not sure if it's the tires he has to worry about, Nolan, as much as he can't get these amazing runs off the corners as much as his competitors can. He can't track out all the way. Look at him getting passed again here. That's now P3, now P4, and it's going to keep coming unless he can find a way back into the top lane here. There he goes. It's just that when you're up there, you get a better run off the corners. You get to get on the throttle a little sooner, pick up more speed. So that's why he went from the lead down to P4 so soon.
Making some strong moves as well. Benjamin Lacey fighting his way back to the number 2 spot. How about Matt Schlosser, series newcomer this season and running his first full-time season with these guys. He's still trying to make some moves as well. He's already in a podium position. And now we'll see if that 04 machine's got anything for the top 2. Right now, Schlosser's put together some convincing performances. This could be a chance, though, to try to go for his first win.
You know, and doesn't that say something for the quality of racing, the quality of respect that the High Tide Racing League has? That is not the mantra of a league. typically, you know, midway through or more than midway through a season where you're adding drivers to your league, where you're adding more names to the roster. You and I both know typically as the league goes on, the numbers kind of dwindle. People realize they're out of the points race. You know, people don't maybe like how they were raced last week or whatever. There's a new gas station open down the corner. Whatever it is, people typically dwindle in the league. Here we are adding people at this point in the season.
So far, Schlosser has not had a stellar amount of stats with this league. Only 3 starts prior to today. His last start was over at Indianapolis. Now, that said, he did race twice in the Gen 4 series, and he got dual top 10s. One of those was a podium. Take a guess where that podium came from.
Hopefully Michigan.
Oh, it sure did. It wasn't the legacy layout, but Michigan nonetheless.
Yeah, sometimes drivers are just great at tracks, and sometimes you can't explain why. There's a couple tracks even on my list that maybe I couldn't tell you why I'm great at them. I maybe don't even care for them, to be honest with you. But sometimes you connect with a track in a way you can't put into words. It makes sense. You get good runs. Whatever it is, you know, you build some confidence there, and you start doing well at it. Look at this dive all the way deep to the bottom, past the 34, past the 11, and he's trying to get up here and see if he can clear himself, but he cannot. My goodness, almost had a contact there with Dustin Ping.
That is Justin Levine right now trying to force his way into the outside line, almost putting that car to the outside wall. Now to the inside of Matt Schlosser. And how about Dustin Ping opening up that third groove, trying to make something happen around the top shelf. Gibson, Lacey, Schlosser all in the thick of it. And Justin Levine is right there, ready to do battle for a podium.
Man, don't remember Justin Ping or Justin Levine, pardon me, I got 2 names mixed together there. Justin Levine pitted twice. I questioned that second pit. I said, I don't know why you put yourself back in traffic. Well, he's no longer back in traffic. He's only got 2 cars of traffic now ahead of him, that being Lacey and Gibson, before he finds the lead.
I cannot understate how intense that overtake just was coming down there in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Levine bobbled up the racetrack, cut off Matt Schlosser. Schlosser cut Levine a massive break off of turn 4 the last time by. Now they are double file once again for that 3rd place spot. Let's take a look back. Well, this will be a little bit earlier on. We'll try to get a better look at this coming down. This is right here. Look at that bobble of the racetrack and Schlosser with a perfect over-under to the inside.
Don't I remember someone calling a race at Michigan, using that word, that wasn't Michigan, maybe using that word slide job we heard a few times on TV.
Oh,
that
yeah.
right there was a slide job, wasn't it? I don't think maybe that wasn't Michigan, I can't think of it, but yeah. Dale Jr. would have been proud of that slide job right there by Justin Levine. Levine now's got himself up here on the bottom groove, leading it, trying to get a hold of it. But my goodness, look at that angle of those cars, Nolan. Look how sideways everybody was there. That tells you how loose this racetrack is.
Oh, they're not done yet. Levine with a huge shot to the shorts from Dustin Ping. Matt Schlosser caught in the middle. Scott Shire is now reeled in this leading pack as well. Levine has pushed those tires to the ragged edge right now.
Yeah, we got concerned how far up that track Levine was going to want to go. And if he could hold on to that there. But you see Ping trying to give him a small push, trying to maybe help give a little bit of draft there. And I think he did, but not the way Levine wanted it, I don't think. But here they are. Look at this. This is just a good old-fashioned dogfight here in Michigan.
No kidding. This is some fantastic racing. This is why this racetrack is one of my favorites on the NASCAR calendar and on the iRacing service. The type of racing you can get here is absolutely insane. We'll try to take another quick jump back and see. Look at just how close this all came to complete disaster on the back straight.
Ping got hit. Yeah, I think Ping got bumped in, and he bumped someone else. It was sort of a good old pushing the pusher thing we advocate against.
Oh, dear. Well, I think starting to get into a little bit more of a rhythm. You still got about 7 cars there. Whoa, no, there we go. Lacey hard hitting the outside wall. Shire gets T-boned by Jason Greenwell. Cars still flying up on him, sliding down the racetrack. And I think everyone else is going to miss him.
Wow, that was out of nowhere. As I started to say, we were getting close to our first round of green flag pit stops, and then now, never mind, that's going to get put on hold due to Shire, Lacey, and some others. Let's wait and see what happens here. Watch the replay, watch the middle of the track. There's Lacey in the bottom, and he is going to drift up, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, oh yeah. That car just snapped out from under him.
That is
And
a
then he just-
vicious hit into the outside wall.
Poor Shire was just there. There's nothing Shire could have done in that moment to avoid that moment. I guess that car just got loose on Lacey and he just snapped out, but it was kind of weird the way it snapped, Nolan. Watch how it is kind of the back end first here.
He got hooked. I think
He got
hooked
hooked.
from Shire.
Never mind. Yeah, never mind. I take back everything. From that first look, I thought he just got the car loose, but no, maybe he got hooked by Shire. We would need an onboard to confirm that. But boy, oh boy, well, everyone will be down pit road again here, Nolan. We were not too far. We were maybe 7-8 laps, I believe, from our first set of green flag pit stops. So Connor Gibson will likely lead the whole field down pit road. Now here we are, coming up on about 25% of the way through the race. Now I believe you'll see new tires put on these machines.
Connor Gibson leading the field onto pit road. Justin Levine, Dustin Pink right behind him. Paul Satmary staying out on the racetrack this time by. He's not the only one. Kilrow stays out. Marasco staying out as well. So 3 cars now are out on the racetrack. Everyone else is in.
I am confused. Let's watch these pit stops first, and we'll talk about that. Because I mean, they're not going to be out there that long, I don't think. But here, everyone down pit road getting gas in.
Ooh, Levine fuel only again.
I didn't see any tires come up. I am stunned. Here we're almost at lap 30. And at least some drivers not taking tires. Some of them definitely are. You can see the time difference, how long some people are on and off pit road. But these 3 who stayed out, that being Seth, Mary, Kilrow, and Marasco, I'm not sure what they have to gain, honestly. Well, let's watch this again here. This will be an onboard. This will be from the 4 car. And wow. Tell you what, that view was not as convincing as the overheads as far as if there was or wasn't a hook. That just sort of came out of nowhere. But you're right, I believe this will be from Lacey. Watch how this is going to happen. He just has no idea it's coming. I see he knows. He's kissing the wall.
I'll tell you what, I mean, we gotta really give this field props. That's 3 cars crashed against the outside wall in turn 2, a place where everybody wants to slide up to. The fact that that was only a 3-car incident is a minor miracle in of itself.
100%, yep. That is also a praise to how wide this racetrack is, right? Think about if we were last week at Bristol, how bad that could have been, or next week at Iowa, how bad that could be. We'll wait and see. Well, here we are. Now we got a few different things going on track. Now let's talk about that. So we got Sathmary, Kilrow, and Marasco did not pit. I think they have maybe 10 laps to run before they have to pit. Then you have Justin Levine, Edstrom, Keithley, who I believe are gas only based upon their pit stop times. And then from there on back, Gibson, Bell, Thorpe, Schlosser, Zimmerman on back, I believe, put tires on their machines. So it's going to be a lot of different stuff going on here at once. A lot of different grooves, a lot of different strategies, a lot of different aggression. These typically tend to be very, hot pots of trauma and drama right here when you get different strategies like this.
And how many times have these races come down to strategy, right? So many races, the high tide race league, end up being big strategy races. That's the way we like it, because it means that, boy, we have always got something to talk about. I'm curious what the call is for the top 3 to be staying out, though, under this caution flag. I don't see any benefit to it.
I mean, the benefit is you stay out here and you put yourself on a different strategy, right? You maybe if it does stay green, you're 10 laps off, or if it cautions to you more times, you got up here, maybe you stay up here track position wise. I mean, the key to success in life, Nolan, is to be better than, less than, or different than your opponents. So these guys are trying one of those out.
Less than 100 laps to go in the Butch Wilkerson Memorial. Paul Satmary now with the lead. Dalton Kilrow in second. Green flag drops. We're back underway. Now is the big question, I think, of how long is it going to take some of these fresh tire runners like Connor Gibson, like Michael Thorpe Jr., how long will it take them to start working their way back through this field? Those tires don't mean nothing like they do at Super Speedway races. Side by side for the lead, Marasco being pushed by Levine to the point.
Yeah, that's a couple of questions I have is how long will some of these cars hold on? Marasco now up to the lead if he can get it at the line. How long can he hold on? How valuable will Levine's car be with no tires? There's Edstrom now involved. Now they're almost four wide again. Now this little blockade here is great news for your new leader, Ty Marasco.
Oh, for sure. Marasco is loving this. He's able to just kind of take away, but there goes Edstrom, looking to go around the outside. Fuel only for the 87 car under this latest yellow. Up to second, now making the run for the lead.
Yeah, the pit delta supports that theory. I double-checked it again. Only 32 seconds between line to line on pit road. That's not enough time, I would believe, to put new tires on, but he is quickly pulling away from Ty Marasco.
And Matt Schlosser, one of the cars on fresh rubber, along with Connor Gibson. They're cutting their way quickly through this field as well. Gibson up to second. Could have the lead by the end of this lap. They're side by side again for the top spot. Gibson trying to look for three wide down the inside. No room this time by. So Ezra maintains his lead. Now we're three wide for the number 2 spot in turn 2.
And again, I'll say it and I'll explain it. This is great news for Austin Edstrom, right? When you got Schlosser, Marasco, and Gibson all running three wide behind you, none of them are running perfect line.
Boy.
None of them are going their fastest. And they're holding one another up. My goodness. And now, look at that, though. As I say that, here comes Schlosser. He's now going to try to lead a lap.
Matt Schlosser will go to the race lead at Michigan in the National Speedway, and he is a race leader now in the High Tide Racing League as he tries to get himself up and working. He led 15 laps at Indianapolis. Now he'll see if he can't break that record by trying to get away from this field. Connor Gibson not wanting him to have it easy, though. No,
it's not going easy, but hey, if we can go back in the field for a second, tail of 2 races, Edstrom has been up to the front of the field, but look back at P9. Justin Levine is quickly falling down this grid here with those older tires. He is not having the same success in his counterpart. Looking now under attack by Matthew Chastain on the top side as he's now 3 wide here coming to the start-finish line.
3 abreast and caught on the outside. Matthew Chastain looking not going to go to the low side and turn over in turn 1. You can see, though, Levine still has some good momentum on the high side. Sattenberry getting a little loose in the middle of 1 and 2. You see him lose all momentum from the middle groove. 45 going to give a bit of a bump there to Michael Thorpe Jr. I'm surprised Thorpe hasn't made more of a move. Thorpe's one of those drivers that's on fresh tires. I don't know why he's being mired back in 9th place like this.
Maybe he just wanted to back it off a little bit. I mean, look at how crazy they were for the first lap or 2 of this run. He may have thought, hey, let me just, live to fight another day. So we'll see what he can do with this run. Now that things are beginning to calm down a little bit, we go back to the front of the field. Some beautiful 2 wide racing. That's Dustin Ping in the 11 on the bottom. That's the 31 Connor Gibson on the outside. And both, well, are trying to race down or race with Max Schlosser. But right now it's Dustin Ping to the front temporarily.
Dustin Ping on fresh tires, up to the point. Right now, everybody in the top 5 is on fresh rubber. Austin Edstrom, first driver on old tires, running all the way back in 6th. Dustin Ping takes the lead of the race. Gonna get a quick look back here on Connor Gibson. Look at this aggressive bump to get Schlosser to the front, and this almost took out the top 3.
Yeah, watch this here. It's gonna come and right there. And the problem bumping these, remember, these are the NASCAR Xfinity cars. Some people call them the Grand National cars. These bumpers and fenders do not line up. They are not symmetrical. Geometry-wise, there's points that stick out. They do not align. So if you bump someone here, you're likely going to get that car, out of sorts. It is not happy to be bumped by another race car.
Overall, things are still looking strong for this field, though. 2 cautions on the day in the first quarter of this race. Record that we have set in this league was 6. That was back in season number 1. But we only had 13 cars for that race as well. But that, I think, goes to show just how unstable the Gen 7 was at that point in time. Because a lot of them were caused by cars just tended to get loose around one another. I don't think we're going to get 6 today. I'm going to be honest. I think now that we kind of got the early shenanigans out of the way, I think we're going to be seeing smooth sailing throughout the rest of racing action this afternoon.
Yeah, that very well may happen. We'll have to wait and see if we can keep this green here. And you're right, the longer this goes, the more these cars are going to separate out. They're going to fan out. There'll be some gaps in the line, and less likely you see contact between 2 drivers. You see some occasional side-by-sides. Here's Chastain, and then Dalton Kilrow, your points leader in the 41. Remember, Dalton missed the grid today. He was going to qualify P5, Nolan, and he missed the grid. So now he's fighting back here up to P9. So not bad, but man, Kilrow's really been kind of testing the waters lately of tempting fate, hasn't he?
No kidding. He has, sometimes it's gone his way, sometimes not so much. Still, though, he is up in the points lead, so he can't really argue with the results on that. Time Orasco, I think, just caught the outside wall in 3. He's going to slip back all the way to 9th place now. That bumps Kilrow up to 8th. It's further side-by-side down the field as well. Craig Martin again in his rookie debut this afternoon. Fighting it out with Justin Levine and Paul Sapmary in a 3-way scrap for 12.
Yeah, beautiful scrap happening right here in that beautiful, I don't call it a highlighter yellow or bright yellow or whatever you want to call it, but it's easy to spot here on the track. I got an update for you, Nolan. Unfortunately, Benjamin Lacey was reported to have almost 40 minutes of repairs on that machine. He is done for the night. So, Ben, we took a couple looks at a replay from different angles, but from your view on the track, what happened?
Oh, yeah, I took a couple looks at it as well, and just from in the car, what it looked like to me is a side draft pinch situation gone wrong. Yeah, there was obviously, I think, a little bit of netcode type of stuff going on, but it also just kind of, I think, proved that, you know, this early in the race, it's just kind of, I think, in my opinion, a little bit unnecessary. But, you know, I mean, Scott and I were cool, and I'm not holding anything against him. It's just, in my opinion, just a little bit of a too aggressive too early. Got a long ways to go, and pinching driving that way is not a way to get you to the end.
Man, it really has felt like the aggression maybe has calmed down finally in this race, knock on wood. But what stood out to you so far in these first 39, 40 laps of this race?
You know, I felt the car was pretty good. Tires were starting to come into effect a little bit there. Trying to get up and around Connor, but being a little bit difficult to do. I felt like it was a little bit faster, and then some hiccups started coming through and around, and really starting to get a lot of the cars jumbled up, and the draft was really strong. So it was going to be a really fun battle, really fun race, and I feel like I had a pretty good shot at getting it. So disappointed, but, you know, come back next week and we'll see what we can get. But yeah, track has turned out to be, I think, really racy, and I think it's going to be a fun fight to the finish.
Are you surprised by basically the 3 different pit strategies we have going on right now? Are you surprised to see that Kilrow, Marasco, and others stayed out under this last caution?
No, Michigan's always one of those tracks. Same thing with Auto Club. You can get so many different strategies going, and then it's a kind of a crapshoot of how cautions may fall or don't fall, and one is banking on it, one is not, and so yeah, it should be pretty fun to watch. You know, I don't know which one's going to come out on top on this one, but Dalton is usually pretty solid when it comes to doing the pit strategy for fuel and getting that calculated right. So whatever he's on, it may be the ticket.
All right, Ben, well, listen, well, sorry to see the wreck you're involved in. Sorry to see you're done for the night, but we'll see you next week at Iowa.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is Benjamin Lacey, driver of the number 7 machine. That's it, man. For someone who really has been involved in the points battle so far this season, Nolan, a couple of rough weeks for Ben, you know, wreck-wise. When you have your points leader in Dalton Kilrow not having the best of runs, you have to take advantage. You have to seize those moments. You have to pounce, if you will. And some of these guys are having a hard time doing that.
I agree, and like you said, it's a big shame that he ended up getting taken out so early. One thing that kind of strikes me a little bit is the fact that he did mention he thought that incident a little bit unnecessary. Both cars are a little bit loose. I do want to point out the 4 car, Scott Shire, he did get a warning for that incident for over-aggressive driving. Not a penalty, though, just a warning. So, deemed not 100% his fault, but could have still been avoided. And we don't have to see warnings being given out for incidents. Usually it's a lot more cut and dry.
There's Osborne way up top. Still a very hurt race car, by the way, from that first incident tonight. But those are the moments I'm never quite sure of, because it's not that I disagree. You know, when Ben says it's unnecessary, he's kind of right. You know, listen, we were lap 25 or so of 125 laps, but in my mind, it's kind of unnecessary for both people a little bit, right? Like, you can't win the race in that moment. So if you're not sure how that race car handles, if you think you're getting pinched, you have 2 choices. You can either, you know, back out and live to fight to lap 26, or you can end up in a wreck. And sometimes when you make that decision to stick in the throttle, you know, every decision has consequences sometimes, Nolan. And as far as a warning for either car, I mean, that's the part I'm kind of in my head about, because I thought both drivers really held some kind of responsibility in that decision-making process.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta put some of the blame on a bit of both, right? And I think that's kind of what it was. You know, that's a case of two drivers putting themselves in a bad situation. Neither of them wanted to necessarily take measures to back out. They were all fighting for position. They were thinking short-term. They weren't thinking long-term. And, well, you see the result of what we had on lap 24 as a result. Still got, oh, one car slow. Who is that? Way down on the inside. That's Anthony Marshall in the number 91.
Yeah, pretty slow. May have just gotten a little loose off the corner and had to back out of it. But it looks to be okay now. The speeds are pretty normal and seems to be competitive through the corners. So we'll keep an eye on that, make sure nothing happened there. Yeah, here we are again. Now we're in lap 45. We saw when talking to Ben, those other three cars have come down that stayed out under the green. So the different cycles has now begun. The question would be, who is right? If we keep this green, who will end up working that mathematical number correctly? And we'll see what Marasco and Kilroe and others can do when that moment strikes.
Dustin Pink started to open up a gap here, 0.6 of a second now with the lead. Look out, Thorpe! Sideways, turn 4, somehow wrangles the TWRS number 34 Camaro back underneath them.
Wow, and that's a pretty common thing at Michigan to have that happen in turn 4, but the car will just kind of snap on you. It's a frustrating thing for the driver because it's one of these things where you could run the same lap, the same angle, the same everything. Watch this here, and the car, oh boy, look at that, how his hands are moving twice around the clock almost, or twice back and forth across the clock to get that thing saved up. But oh, look at it again. That's the same one. Sorry, I got caught by the replay. I was like, not again. No, here he is. Look at that. The wheels have turned out. He's going to try to crank it that way and save it. That's an amazing job by Michael Thorpe. I was going to say, though, Nolan, the frustrating about those moments here at Michigan when it happens is you're telling yourself, listen, I run that same line, that same groove, the same steering angle, the same throttle line, the same blah, 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 the past, 46 laps, and it never got loose. And then you get mad at yourself. You're like, well, then why did you do it that time? And then all that logical, illogical argument forms in your head, and it can kind of distract you from what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, for sure. And when that, you gotta push that to the back of your mind. You gotta just reset, let those tires cool, and then get right back to it. Thorpe's advantage there, didn't hit anything, didn't lose a lot of time. He's 2.7 seconds off the lead now, yes, but he is still within the top 5. This is still a good day for Thorpe, first and foremost. And I think at this point, Thorpe has learned how to manage that. If you were tuning in throughout the Gen 4 season, he's got a reputation for those types of saves. He is notorious for having some of the wildest moments we have ever seen in green flag TV history when it comes to saves. This is a man that knows how to work that wheel, and he is really showing that this afternoon. Once again, those skills don't go away just because you're in a new car.
No, they don't go away at all. If you have it, you have it. By the way, there's Ty Marasco. This is not a pass for position. Ty is being scored one lap down because he did pit under green. But that right there shows you the power of maybe, I'm going to look here on the number. I think, 10 lap newer tires maybe. Ty Marasco pit in lap 39, Michael on lap 26. So 13 lap tires. That right there is just pictures and words of the power of new tires right there. And even if you are at Michael Thorpe's spot and you just got new tires, when you see someone power by you, man, it makes you jealous. It makes you want to just get that itch to have a caution come out or something happen to get those new tires. But here's Justin Levine. He's now trying to work his way back through the field as he sits here on the track in that beautiful black and white number 45 machine. And doing pretty well here overall. This is his second race in this league. And maybe not the result he wanted last week, but still had a pretty solid night.
Brian Zimmerman, Larry Bell, the next two to come down to pit road. Justin Levine, 2 laps ago, had set the fastest lap of the race. So showing that he is, he's on the move. He's got something working for him. So Larry Bell and Brian Zimmerman both into pit road, and I think we're about to see the exodus really commence. Around 25 laps deep, that pit window is officially open.
Yeah, in fact, Levine just pitted. That's why he was back there in the spot where he is. I was wondering how he was back there, and I went back and looked. He just pitted on lap 46 of 5 laps to go. So now there's multiple strategies going on here. That's right, because we're now working lap 51. This would be about lap 25 or 25 laps since that last yellow flag. So this should be a full cycle coming around soon of cars down pit road. Here's Gibson. And he's now going to try to get past on the inside here. That's going to be David Lakey, I believe, in that blue and red machine. It is the number 84 on the inside.
Yep, David Lakey with that Ignite Camaro up inside. He puts himself onto a podium for the first time all night long. Now the question is, will he hang on to that to the pit stop window? My money, probably not, but he's not getting far off of the leaders, considering a bunch of these guys up here have been running in the lead for the last little while, and none of them have pitted. Look at Edstrom ripping the top lane right by the wall.
Yeah, look at Marasco ripping the bottom lane. So both are having a great run here for different reasons. So you see both drivers just sort of powering their way around these cars and trying to be patient with the traffic. But when you got new tires, you cannot be patient. That is not how it works, because the longer you are patient, you are throwing away that advantage you have of those newer tires. So can't do that here. So now here's Lakey again. Here's Gibson. This is the battle for P3 and 4. This Dustin Ping is leading them around here by over 0.2 of a second back to these guys.
Yeah, it's been a good, solid run so far for guys like Lakey, for guys like Gibson. They have not been having too bad of a run at all. I think they're playing the waiting game, and we're in a game of chicken right now. Nobody wants to be the first one to come down to pit road. When you're on the green flag runs, around green flag pit stops, that is the most likely point to get a caution outside of the few laps.
Here comes Ping.
Yep, and it's kind of like what we've seen, right? The big reason why a caution is so likely around this area, cars on fresh tires trying to unlap themselves from people that have still yet to come down.
And I'll tell you what, you may not want to be the first one to come down, but when you're Dustin Ping and you're at the front of the field and there's no one to draft, you will be the first one to come down, because just by the way science works, Dustin Ping would have spent more fuel on that run than his competitors. He had no one to draft off of, no one to help save fuel. But here comes the parade. Here's 3 or 4 other cars going to follow him down here on lap 54.
Yep, that is Keithley, Osipek, Marshall, all coming down and into pit road. Got a couple more that might still be making their way down to the round. There's Matt Schlosser. Here comes David Lakey and Connor Gibson racing side by side to the line, and Gibson takes the spot.
Yeah, nice, beautiful run there. Here's Chastain down. There is a couple other cars. That's the 50 and the 75. That's Craig Martin and Bob Berry, also down pit road.
It's a busy, busy place right now, pit lane. Lakey up on the jacks. Everybody going to be taking 4 tires and fuel here. Absolutely no surprises here in this one. Top 4 still have yet to come down to pit road. We are expecting them in any time now.
Yeah, this is going to get really confusing for a bit, Nolan, because of all the different pit cycles we're on, about who's really in the lead, who's fighting for what. It'll be kind of interesting to see how it all folds out in the wash, so to speak, if in fact we stay this way. And man, sometimes when I watch moments like this right here, what I think to myself is, I wish more drivers practice pit road entrance. I wish more drivers were more comfortable attacking pit road or attacking that yellow cone right there, because you can make up, you know, a second or two by how comfortable you are attacking pit road versus kind of crawling into it.
One driver that was very comfortable there was your race leader, Matt Schlosser, when he came down to pit road. He was actually kicking the tail end out from locking up the brakes, just barely got it down to the line and slowed up in time. So Matt Schlosser is on point with his pit stop run, and this could gain a precious seconds out on the racetrack. But you're right, I mean, how many times have we seen, you know, positions that were right nose to tail be separated by quite a bit, just because you don't attack pit entry or pit exit nearly as much, and you don't lose that time at pit road, you lose it on the transitions.
Yeah, you lose it on the transitions, you lose it everywhere because of just the speed you're carrying or not carrying. So right now, Michael Ashmore is scored as your leader until this field cycles around. Michael Ashmore last pit. In fact, he's pitting right now. I was going to say he last pitted right now, so never mind, I can't get his old numbers anymore. So this is now the battle for the lead. This is Austin Edstrom and Justin Levine. These are 2 drivers that kind of, maybe they were working together earlier, trying to stick together. Edstrom was trying to follow Levine and really couldn't keep up. But here's now Levine trying to follow Edstrom.
Now, these are two drivers that they're separated by about half a stint when you compare that to everybody else. They pitted on 45. Everybody else was pitting on about 53 to 55 thereabouts. They're about 10 laps off cycle here with your leading group, which is why, oh boy, well, here we see some of the issues that we've seen in the past couple of weeks start to crop up again for Edstrom. He continues to lead the way with Levine. They are right now 3.3 seconds clear of Dalton Kilbro, so they do have room to work with.
Yeah, they do definitely have room to work with here. I was doing the math in my head, so let's assume this for a second. They pit on lap 46. Let's assume 25 lap runs on next pit on 71. Then they'll pit on 96. Then they will be on 121. So we have to assume if this stays green that Edstrom and Levine are about 4 laps short toward the end of the run.
Michael Keithley real slow on the inside of the racetrack. He just pitted about 5 laps ago. He's got a problem. I'm
wondering if he forgot to take fuel. That sounds both funny and awful to say, but that's the way it looks by how well he's creeping around this track. By the way, it's a new paint scheme.
Sure is.
There's no ogre in that car.
Still got the Whataburger colors.
There might be an ogre in the car, but there's not an ogre on the car.
He didn't want to compete in ogre.
Well, he heard you hadn't seen Shrek 2 yet, and he was offended.
So he took the second Shrek off the car. I mean, it's not unheard of, right? And I know iRacing is planning on putting in a new auto fuel feature. Someone's got to get to the memo, though. That doesn't drop till tomorrow, though.
Yeah. I don't know what happened here. Maybe I'm not sure, but you're right. That looks out of fuel. Unless there was some big damage we didn't see, that looks like he's out of fuel. So we'll keep an eye on that. But back on track here, this is Levine now. So now Levine, I think, may have gotten the memo, by the way, that he is 4 laps shy on making this race because he is kind of glued to the back end of Austin Edstrom. He wants to see if he can make up even just a lap per run. Do good. Look at this amazing chart here in the bottom of your right of your screen. This is the pit strategy we're on right now. Look at all those different lines. That indicates where people had pitted, different tire runs they're on, and whatnot. So it shows how chaotic with decisions we've been here. I mean, look at this. So Edstrom and Levine are there. Schlosser's on a different run. You know, Gibson's on a different run. And it's hard to find patterns here. It's like taking like one of those Rorschach tests.
And we can even check out how long the pit stops were to see exactly who took tires under that second caution flag and who didn't. This is only for the top 10, but you know, it kind of gets the picture across, right? Very, very different calls up and down throughout the field. Oh boy, huge traffic jam off of turn 4.
Yeah, Schlosser's got the speed. He is not. He is moving. He is just not patient for these drivers, and I think because that when Levine tried to move out of the way, he almost up in the way. Look at that difference in speed there. Schlosser now, I mean, those are 10-lap newer tires. He's doing this time and time again, but Nolan, can we get a look on through our onboard analytics? Are Levine and Edstrom at full throttle? Because they just got passed like they were just standing still. I'm curious to see the speeds and the gears these cars are in because they were not. I mean, Schlosser just passed them like they were in a different class of car. There's 192, 193, 194.
No clutch being put in. But could that really just be Schlosser on 10-lap pressure tires?
And maybe this got a great drafting run off of the corner. I guess so, because I mean, those speeds right there, 181, 182, 183, is almost identical to what our leader is doing. There's not much difference here. I mean, maybe I'll watch it again here. I saw that Schlosser peaked at a 192 as far as miles per hour down the back. So let's watch this again here. Now let's see what Levine gets up to here. 180, now 185, 190. I mean, only a couple of difference. That time Schlosser 194 down the front straight. So maybe they are trying to save a little bit of gas, but yeah, I mean, he's already put over a second a gap. He passed them. That was like watching like a multi-class race between like a Lamborghini and a tricycle with how he passed them.
You can see some other thicker fights still deeper in the field as well. So the battle for the lead started to break up, and I think you're right. I think Levine Edstrom trying to save just a little bit of gas and try to go the distance. If you're going to try to feel safe for an end of race strategy, do that as early as possible, right? Then you don't have to worry about it later on in the run. Four-way fight here for the 11th place spot between Dustin Ping, Jonathan Canfield, then you've also got Paul Sackmary and Bob Berry in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, this is, who knows what this battle is really for, right? Because we got so many different strategies going on that when it all cycles out. So we can say from now it's 11th, but I bet these guys are going to move up and naturally just do this from cars pitting as this race moves on here. I mean, here's Dustin Ping, he said, leading it around. Jonathan Canfield, Sackmary, Bob Berry. Some really solid names here in the field. You see all the times and intervals there on the bottom right of your screen as they're all riding along here. Well, interesting to note, you know, you thought maybe they're working together, by the way. We go back to the front of the field with Levine and Edstrom. I just realized, Nolan, that Levine and Edstrom are the only two Toyotas in this race.
Freaky coincidence or something more to it, you reckon?
Oh, I think there's something more to it, 100%. Yeah, 100% I do. Because they're content following one another. Like, they've made the same strategy calls, they're in the same line, so on and so forth.
It's not often to see Toyota with such low representation in these fields. Usually it's relatively balanced, almost always biased a bit more to Chevy, because it's usually the Chevys that get released first on the service. But still, I mean, only two Toyotas, that's a first. I can't remember the last time we saw such a low number of cars. Paul Sackmary coming back down to pit road. Yeah,
here he comes down pit road here. And the thing that gets me about this this decision of brand, obviously the body templates are different, but within the iRacing service, these cars are identical, right? They don't perform any different. The setups are universal across all three cars. So it's really a template choice and a brand choice is what it comes down to. There's no difference in performance or grip or handling or this or that for these cars. Here comes Ty Marasco. He's one of those people who, under our last yellow stayed out, put himself off cycle. So he's coming down again on lap 68. So that means we should probably see Dalton Kilroe coming down pit road anytime soon as well.
We're gonna have a whole Christmas tree thing that we still got to put in at some point. We're not gonna get a chance to do that if this pit strategy game keeps on picking up every 10 laps or so.
Yeah, it is interesting. We'll see if we get that in there. We asked the drivers to get a look at their Christmas decorations, and maybe after this current pit cycle, we can go ahead and look at theirs. Dalton Kilroe right on cue, coming down, by the way, pitting from P8 or 7, pardon me, from a driver who did not start on the grid this evening. So, pretty solid run here. Now we'll look here. This is going to be Matthew Chastain, as he is now running around the track. Got Brian Zimmerman behind him. Well, let's start this off, if you don't mind here, Nolan. And I don't know the order you got these pictures in, as Zimmerman almost scrubbed the wall.
Well, the good news is they're in whatever order we please, so we can get Matthew Chastain.
Well, let's start with Matthew Chastain. Yeah, let's start with Matthew Chastain. So here's his Christmas tree decoration, or Christmas holiday decoration he sent in. We'll put up on the screen here in just a second. Look at that beautiful Christmas tree. Nice colored lights. Not the thing you're going to see here, by the way, across the High Tide Racing League. I asked him, Nolan, I said, why is there no skirt under that tree? He said, just more room for presents.
Fair enough.
So,
hard to argue with that.
Yeah, that's pretty good here. So we'll keep moving through the list of Christmas trees and see who's going to be up next here. And we'll see who else sent in some holiday decorations. There's some very non-traditional decorations we're going to come across as well. Let's go to Paul Sackmary real quick. This is one of my favorites. Paul is, of course, in Germany. And in Germany, he says they don't really do Christmas trees. So he's got an advent calendar up on the wall. And that is the extent of Paul Sackmary's Christmas decorations.
More than I got.
I'm not sure if he's happy or nervous in that photo.
Bit of both.
Bit of both. Yeah, that's
It's one of the advent calendars that's got chocolates in it.
You know, that's a good question. I forgot to ask. Yeah, there's all kinds of advent calendars out there, and I hope it has chocolates in it. I love chocolate.
Well, he's a bit loose there, so that might be some of the nervousness we're seeing as he kicked some smoke up there in turn 2.
Yeah, got nervous indeed. Well, let's go. I think it's going to be the most controversial one of them all.
Oh, God.
There are 2 Christmas trees. I said 2. Bob Berry has 2 Christmas trees. So there's Bob on track, and they get red and yellow and green, whatever you call it. So this is the quote-unquote family Christmas tree. This is the one in the family room that everyone, the family can see, and there's a couple presents under there maybe. Now he's also got the public Christmas tree. This one sits out in the public foyer so you can be seen from the window of the house for anyone walking by. So if you love Christmas, you must be Bob Berry because he has 2 Christmas trees, Nolan.
Huh.
Yeah. By the way, did you notice they're different? One is all white, one is colored. Did you notice that?
I did, yeah. I did notice that.
You and I had a talk pre-race about our thoughts on all white Christmas lights and how they go.
Yeah, we did.
We did, didn't we?
Unfortunately, my parents didn't get the memo for that. This is our tree. All white Christmas lights and red gold ornaments as far as the eye can see. So we didn't get the memo on colored Christmas lights.
Did you wrap those presents? Those are some finely wrapped Christmas presents down there. Is that your doing?
I wish.
Yeah. Derek Watson's the reason gift bags were invented. Don't you worry about that. There's another car down pit road, by the way. That Justin Levine is, I believe that is, from the Black and White Legacy. Yeah, so right on skew with his stops. So a couple more to do here. We got Jonathan Canfield sent in a Christmas tree photo. We're going to take a look at John's Christmas tree next and his holiday decorations. There's John on track, and here comes the Christmas tree.
If I can find it.
There
it is.
I won't be singing the old Christmas tree. Oh, look at that all-white Christmas light. That one lights up. That is bright. Look at that. It reflects off the wall there. That's pretty bright and colorful. So Jonathan also did not get the memo about the colored Christmas lights. And I think Jason Grimwell disconnected earlier, so we can just put his tree up on top of his random. He had unfortunately involved in a wreck. So Jason Greenwell sent in his holiday decorations. This is they have upgraded from. Go ahead.
I saw one of those Snoop Dogg little elf on a shelves in the mall a week ago. First time I have ever been drawn to their existence.
Do you know what it's actually called, out of curiosity?
I vaguely remember it, but I can't get it off the top of my head. It was a.
So instead of being called Elf on the Shelf, it is called Snoop on the Stoop.
I like it.
Wish I was lying to you, but I'm not.
I remember it now.
And then last Christmas tree we got, well, for us up to this segment here, unfortunately out of the race with that big damage order from one of the wrecks, Ben Lacey sent in his Christmas tree. Again, all white Christmas lights. Maybe I'm in the minority here, Nolan. Maybe they know something I don't know.
No, well, maybe. I can't say for sure. I don't know. You don't see much Christmas decor at my place, so who knows? Brian Zimmerman, by the way, is in pit road.
Yeah, Zimmerman, of course, a car we saw almost nearly scrub the wall and give it some seasons beatings right before we went to that Christmas tree segment. So now down pit road, and away he goes. So here we are, working lap 77. I suspect for most drivers, we're probably 2, maybe 3 pit stops away from being done if this stays green. Currently, it's Schlosser, Thorpe, Gibson, Lickey, and Chastain, your top 5.
Larry Bell making his way into pit road for his first session of the afternoon. Kind of glad we haven't seen too much of the way of pit road incidents. Auto Club's one of those tracks where you can get some pretty wild moments coming down to pit road, or even kind of slapping the wall. We've had a few close calls in the past here when it comes to cup racing, with vehicles sliding down, almost getting into the wall. I know in the SRA IL Truck Series last season, somebody took a violent impact right into where that wall juts out to cut off pit road. Classic IndyCar Series, Henry Bennett caught the outside wall in turn 4s, actually spun into pit road and nailed the inside wall right where all the pit crews were. So there's been some wild moments regarding pit road in Michigan over the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, lots of wild moments can happen here because you take high speeds into that pit road, and not exactly the biggest lane down there, but that yellow line right there to get down, or on the next yellow line, get slowed down in time. This is not one of those big wider tracks you have, like maybe an auto club where you get all kinds of space down there to make that happen. Well, here's Bob Berry. He said he was nervous, by the way, that you and I were going to make fun of him for 2 Christmas trees. Listen, if you have the time and space for 2 Christmas trees, I'm all in.
I'm gonna have to ask Mikey. I don't have a Christmas tree at my place right now. I'll have to ask him if I can buy one of them off of him.
Yeah. Maybe he's got his little Christmas tree farm going on over there. That's why he's got 2 of them. We'll find out. So, yeah, mine goes up this week, so maybe I'll get some pictures for next week's broadcast of when it's done, and we'll do that. Here's Austin Edstrom there. That was looked. I don't know if that was just the camera shot, but it suddenly looked like Austin was not 100% full speed there. I'm curious to see what's going on there, but maybe still trying to save some gas.
Now, right now, he did pit on lap 74, I do want to point out as well. So he pitted about 6 laps ago, so he might still be saving a bit of extra fuel.
Has to. Yeah, it's a 74 plus 25 would be 99. Plus 25 would put you about 2 laps short. So he's made up a couple laps in that run, but he still needs to make up a couple more, or has to hope for that pesky yellow flag to come out here. Now look at this battle here. It's a 4-car battle. Involves Bob Berry. See Larry Bell's up in that battle. Jonathan Canfield's up in there. Dustin Ping, former race leader tonight, is up in there. So let's see how this turns out.
Larry Bell not fighting these guys for position. He just came down pit road. He is trying to unlap himself from this group, and as they work their way down the front stretch into the trial.
Yeah, and doing a pretty good job at being patient, just kind of picking his spots, doesn't need to push it, knows he has the time, need to get around, but now he's got another car on the bottom. That's Scott Shires back on track, by the way. Kind of surprised, but after that awful hit he had Ben Lacey earlier, that he is back on track and moving around, but there he is, bottom of the track. And that car must be hurt because he is falling back quickly. But did I say there's no hood in that car?
Yep, you did.
Yeah.
Right, he spent half an hour in pit road, just over that. What he is gambling on is that there's going to be more problems this race. People are going to crash out, and he can pick up some free spots that way.
Well, it's got to happen soon because we figure he is. Well, let's see how many laps down he is. Give me a second before I say that number out loud. He is currently 47 laps down. So, I mean, we're almost at that point right now where he probably can't make it that many more spots. You see John Osborne, 35 laps down. Tanner Mark, 34 laps down, are both out of the race. So he can pick up 2 spots here this evening.
Connor Gibson and David Lake making their way down to pit road. Ping, Osipek, Marshall, and Keith Lee are all in as well this time by. This is the pit stop for everybody else that is just kicking off. Mason Chastain making his way into pit road. Jonathan Canfield stays out one more lap. Bob Berry will come down this time as well.
Yeah, so these drivers are good with one more pit stop right now. 83 plus 25 is 108. And then it is not 25 more laps until the end of the race. So these drivers right now are all looking at one more stop. So I think right now they have a small advantage on Levine and Edstrom because they do not need to save gas. They don't need to save anything. They're good by a few laps.
And you saw Matt Schlosser again really attacking pit road, making sure that he gets the absolute most out of pit entry that he possibly can. Michael Thorpe Jr. working his way around turn 2 this time by. Currently in the lead of this race with, well, now about 27 seconds to himself at Justin Levine. He is the last car in this cycle that we are waiting on to come down to pit road.
Yeah, he is the last car. We'll wait and see when he does come down here. Levine last pitted lap 74. So you'd think he has about 15 more laps before he pits again. Here's a car down pit road. That is not Levine based upon the yellow I see in the front of the car.
That is Thorpe.
That is Michael Thorpe. Okay, well, it wasn't yellow either, but based on the reflections I saw from that car, that's Michael Thorpe coming down. So he's surrendering the lead at this moment.
So the TWRS GGA Esports driver into pit road, and that will put Justin Levine back to the point of this race. He is stopped on lap 73, so still eliminates off cycle. There's the Austin Edstrom reeling them in, just 1 second off the mark.
I mean, Levine's trying to pull away here. This is all you can do now as a leader. You can't wait for anyone. You can't sit behind anyone. You can't let people catch you. So you got to pull away and hope, I guess, you have enough of a gap, you know, to help with that short pit delta you're going to have. I do believe he's probably 3 laps short on gas, Nolan. He's going to have a very, very quick dash on pit road if this stays green. So right now there's no one. You've heard of rain dances before? Oh my gosh. Speaking of caution dances, almost had one right there against the wall. There's no one more likely to be doing a caution dance right now than Justin Levine and Austin Edstrom.
Thorpe exchanging blows with Connor Gibson. Dalton Kilrow alongside Matt Schlosser as they cross the start-finish line. Now, granted, Kilrow bit off cycle as well. He's been on this stint for about, doing the quick math in my head, about 18 laps now. So he is also heavily off cycle. So he's not going to be coming in. He's going to be coming down to pit road in about 10 laps or so here as well.
Yeah, he last pitted, I believe, on lap 70, and we're currently working lap 86. So he's 16 laps into a run. So we'll wait and see how this works out for him. Remember, himself and Maraska were two of the drivers who started this off-cycle stuff when they didn't pit under that last caution. And now that we've gone green for what feels like 50 laps or so, you got to start to wonder how they feel about that decision. If now they're regretting it or if they're happy with it. I think that all depends on how this all cycles through at the end of lap 125.
Well, there's still a good ways to go, and still yet to come in as well is going to be another pit stop window to boot. So we're going to take ourselves a quick step back. When we return, it's more racing action on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Racing action continues at Michigan International Speedway. Battle for the lead between the Frontline Esports teammates is on, with Justin Levine and Austin Edstrom now within a quarter of a second of each other. And Edstrom is turning up the pressure.
And the good news for Levine, look at that lapped car right ahead of him. That's a car he could possibly suck a little bit of draft off of, maybe do some fuel saving. He gets up there. I'm curious to see if Levine is content to sit behind that car and save a little bit of fuel, or if he just wants to make the pass and go on around. We'll watch it here, lap 93. And we'll see what happens. I mean, these cars last pitted on lap 74. So I believe these cars are within 5 to 6 laps of coming down pit road again. Here's a graphic on screen. This is when everyone pitted last. There's Levine and Edstrom up top. You can see all the white and black indicates different stints of tire length or a pit stop length. So
I will say Edstrom's is not accurate. He did pit one lap.
I was confused. Yeah,
he pitted 1 lap after Levine. He blinked right as he crossed the timing line, though. So our graphic hasn't caught it. But I do see that he did come down to pit road on lap 74.
Yeah, I was looking at my side screen. I was like, what am I not seeing here? But you're right. They pitted basically together. So I was a little confused at the moment. We see the drivers down here doing different stops. So the two below them, though, Schlosser and Thorpe, those guys are done. They pitted on lap 85 for Thorpe. So they have one more stop. The problem right now that I see for Levine and Edstrom is I think they have 2 more stops. They have a full stop and they have a splash. And what I might wonder if I was Levine and if I had Edstrom and I knew that, I might wonder if I not short pitted. I don't take the splash of fuel now, Nolan, but do I maybe take half a tank now and half a tank later? Do I take the full tank now and the splash later? How do I play with it? Do I take the full tank now and just kind of like pray to whatever deity I believe in that a yellow flag comes out, right? Like, you know, do you just put it on your Christmas list? Maybe you weren't naughty, but you were nice, and all of a sudden, you know, Santa Claus delivers that yellow flag you're looking for?
Well, let's put it this way. Schlosser and Thorpe, they've been able to go 28 to 30 laps. We have 30 laps to go now. They are, I think it will be a one-stop for them, but they are going to be on the razor's edge of being able to make it.
Yeah, I think they're good. They can pit any time now and be okay, and they have, and Thorpe only pitted 14 laps ago, so I think Thorpe is really good. It's these two drivers right here that I'm concerned. But hold on, here's a car. That's Paul Sathmary. Man, that was a bit of a skid you saw coming down pit road. Had to get the brakes locked up so he wasn't speeding. And luckily for him and luckily for anyone else, no one else was there behind him to cause any kind of damage. You talked about calamity on pit lane can happen. This is how it happens. Watch, Sathmary called it out, said I'm pitting. A little too fast trying to attack that yellow cone and had to lock up the tires.
It's an easiest thing to do, especially on a track like this. We actually heard him accelerating a bit as he came down to pit road, realized he was being way too conservative and trying to overcompensate and almost costed himself a race potentially. Now just a tenth and a half between Levine and Edstrom, and pointed out to us earlier, they are teammates, these two. So I think that's why we haven't really been seeing Edstrom trying to go for the lead. They're trying to help each other save a little bit of gas.
Yeah, in the back of the shot there, that's a lap down car of Bob Berry. He is just biding his time. He knows these cars need to pit in a couple laps, so no need to get up here and race them that hard when you're going to get your lap back in just a couple of moments. And hey, even if that little pesky caution comes out, you're the lucky dog. So don't put yourself in the way of something you don't need to be there. Now here is the last pit stop for these drivers right now. I think that's Gibson up front, I believe, and there's some other cars behind him. Or is that Thorpe right there?
That's Thorpe, and then you got Kilroy, Marasco. Gibson is in here, but he's at the back of the pack instead of at the front.
Yeah, so this is the last pit stop now. Unless a yellow flag comes out, this is the last pit stop for everybody when they come down pit road this time. So wait and see. And here's off the pit road pretty quickly.
Thorpe took fuel only.
That's a move that I'm not sure of, honestly. Unless he's burned up all his sets of tires and doesn't have any left, I don't know that I want to run the last 30 laps of this race with old tires on.
He's not the only one. Jonathan Canfield taking fuel only as well. If this is a strategic on Thorpe, he might be gambling potentially on trying to get, because he's going to cut about 7 seconds out of his pit stop with that. He's going to try to see if he can keep that distance up at the front. Meanwhile, Levine is hitting pit road.
Yep, here comes Levine down pit road. So this will start his last, what I believe, I mean, look at that, on lap 100. So if we think they can go 25 laps, he might be puttering it around on the white flag. We'll have to wait and see how he does with that last run. And that's Matthew Chastain right there in front of him. He'll pit first. And that means Austin Edstrom's not far behind down pit road as he is currently leading this race.
David Lakey is into the pits at the back of the field as well. Levine is taking 4 tires. So has Matthew Chastain, as you see in the background, up on the jacks. And now coming down to the lane is Austin Edstrom attacking the pit entry.
Yeah, I just wonder for some of those drivers, maybe they've used up their tire allotment in this race, because to not want to put tires on for the last 30 laps of a run, that's when I want my new tires. 100% when I want new tires is the end of a run in case I need to battle someone for a position. So we'll see what Austin Edstrom does here. Comes down to his pit stall. Pit service begins. Watch there. There it is. There's your right side tires. Let's watch the other side. Drops it down and picks up the left side. Yep, there it is. So new tires. Now he's lap 101. It makes me wonder if Levine and Edstrom had found a way to stretch that fuel out. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they're closer than I thought they were.
Larry Bell hitting pit road. Craig Martin coming in just a little ways behind as well. Matt Schlosser leading the way. He still has to come down to pit road. Same for Dustin Ping, running the number 2 spot, about 20 seconds. 20 seconds off the mark. So right now, I think Schlosser could very well be one of the pace setters. He was closing at the end of that last run. He's gonna have, while he's gonna be a bit down on fresh tires out of the gate for a couple laps, he is gonna have fresher tires for the last longer sprint of this race. So he's gonna have that in the back pocket throughout the rest of the run.
Yeah, remember some of the images we saw earlier of Ty Marasco passing someone or different drivers on new tires, clearing a driver just very easily when they're on new tires. Look at the power difference almost feels like that car has. You have all that grip. So it's just the way you can hang through a corner and you can really hold on to it and almost stay in the throttle longer through a corner. It's pretty impressive to see. So I'm curious to see what happens when maybe a Justin Levine or an Austin Edstrom gets up on some of these cars that didn't take tires and what it looks like.
Marasco right now close at the tail of Brian Zimmerman. Bob Berry attacking pit road. Did he not just come down pit road this last time by?
Yeah, let me double check here. No black flag for Bob Berry. I thought he'd already been down pit road, unless I'm crazy. Lap 102.
I am.
Yeah,
we
I
are
don't know.
crazy. He pitted on 83.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
We are crazy.
Yeah,
we're
that
probably.
happens sometimes.
Oh, you know what? We were probably thinking of Larry Bell.
Yeah, I mean, listen, some of these cars come down pit road sometimes. It's hard to keep all of them where they all pit, especially when we. I'll say we're not always used to these big long green flag runs and having to keep a track that way. But here's Schlosser now leading this race by over 20 seconds. He last pitted lap 84, so he, I suspect, within the next 5 laps will need to come down here and surrender the lead. Now, will he, though? Because here's the question. He'll pit on lap 110. He needs 15 laps of gas. That is not a full tank. If he opts not to take tires and just enough gas to get us to the checkered flag, I mean, yeah, I guess he will. The pit delta, I think, is 30 seconds here, basically, at Michigan. So, I don't know. He'll surrender it, but he probably won't go a lap down.
Yeah, most likely. I don't think he's going to go a lap down either. I mean, he was up in the top 5 before the pit stop window ended the last time around. So, yeah, I don't think he'll be a lap down either. You see Kilrow getting around Ashmore, Gibson looking to try to fight it out with Paul Satmary.
So, and remember, Schlosser's not worried about Dustin Ping. Dustin Ping also has to pit again. He last pitted lap 82. He should be coming down any second. There it is. That's not on cue. This wasn't pinned on cue. And so what he's worried about is Levine and Edstrom, who he's got to be that delta for. So Levine is 27 seconds back off the lead. Edstrom is 28, almost 29 seconds back off the lead. That's what you're worried about now. Right now, if you're Schlosser, you kind of let Bob Berry get ahead of you here and help kind of drag you down the track, I would think. But we'll see how that goes and what happens. There's Edstrom. He's just a little bit behind his teammate Levine. There's Schlosser now getting behind Bob Berry. Let's see if we can ride here. Man, if you are Matt Schlosser, you are hoping. I mean, you can see water bottles, animals on the track, debris, raindrops, right? Like you are spotting things that aren't even in iRacing right now. You're like, I think I see something in turn 3 right here. You're talking to race control, anything.
Look at that glare coming off of turn 4. That's not going to be doing these guys any favors coming off of 4.
No, and luckily right now they're single file, so it's not that bad. There's a couple more cars down pit road, but if you get to a point where like we get double file racing again, that glare will make it hard to clear yourself around another driver.
Osipek into pit road. So is Michael Keithley. Those are the two that you saw on your screens just now. While we wait for Matt Schlosser to come down to pit road, coming up over the next week on Green Flag TV, the Beer League goes out to Interlagos on Wednesday night, where Alex Copper tries to lock out the championship 1 week early, while the SRA IEL Truck Series will be out for their second preseason race at Homestead Miami Speedway. Still remaining in the Sunshine State after a thriller at Daytona. And then, of course, the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series, they are going to be out at Lanier National Speedway for twin dirt racing 30-minute main events. First with the mini stocks and the street stocks to follow. They had, again, an absolute barn burner at Charlotte Motor Speedway earlier just yesterday. So a lot of action still coming on up. Even though it's the holiday season, no rest on Green Flag TV for racing action.
No rest indeed. Lots of beautiful racing action still to come here as we get closer and closer to the holiday season, and drivers will be on break and looking to do different races all across iRacing. Maybe you get some new wheels, pedals, some hardware equipment for Christmas that you can practice out all season long.
There's only one more race to go, I think, in the calendar year as well for the High Tide Race League before we'll reset things for 2025. And it comes in at the Iowa Speedway. Then we're off for Christmas, we're off for New Year's, and then we'll return at either Kentucky Speedway or the Martinsville Speedway at over on January 6th. Still yet to be determined which one it is going to end up being. I think decision will probably be made likely after Iowa. Nick Ospag with a penalty, unsafe pit exit.
Oh, I mean, he's going to need to come back around and go back down pit road again. Unfortunately for him, that'll be a costly penalty maybe for a couple of spots here, but I'm surprised. I said to you, I thought Schlosser would have had to have pitted on lap 110. He's now working in lap 111 and is staying out here for the moment. Now going to get passed on by. So he's out a little bit longer than I thought he would be. And the problem, though, is the longer he's staying out, Nolan, look at that time decrease. Remember, Levine and Edstrom took new tires. They took tires on their last stop. That's what's different from them versus Thorpe or other drivers behind them. But Levine and Edstrom are closed about 9 seconds off of that gap already.
Yeah, I mean, Schlosser, if he wanted to go fuel only, I would say it is a viable strategy, but you need to do that when you're coming out ahead of the cars that have already pitted for fresh tires. He's not doing that. The way it works right now, he could be coming out about 23 seconds behind them.
Yeah, he'll definitely come out behind him now. Here he comes down pit road, so we'll track it and see where he does come out here. Down pit road, gets it slowed down, a little puff of smoke, that's okay. Makes the journey down pit road. Remember, he qualified P6, so he'll be towards the front of the pit road here. Makes that long, slow crawl under green, only 55 miles an hour. When this race is going almost 200, 55 feels like a crawl.
There goes by Justin Levine. There goes by Austin Edstrom. They'll pick up the top 2 spots. Schlosser takes fuel only, and I think he has just cost himself a win with that call.
Yep, so now here's the drama for the race. It's the front 2 drivers, Nolan. They pitted on lap 100 and 101, respectively, Levine and Edstrom. Now the only question is, did they put enough gas in this car to get it on a round? That's the only way they're likely going to throw away this race, is if they didn't put enough fuel in the car.
I think they did. I think they should be fine. I know Austin Edstrom has been involved in fuel mileage races before, but the last time he was on the winning end of it, because it was Ty Marasco that had run out of fuel at Pocono. I think they should be fine. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be. He said, "Don't kill, we're getting clear of Thor."
I mean, now it's a question of, did you try and pinch on fuel for time? Did you account for being up there alone? I mean, there's not exactly. I mean, Edstrom is almost a second behind Levine. So it's not as if Edstrom's packed right in behind Levine's back bumper and saving fuel. He's pretty far back there. There's no fuel saving going on as Edstrom almost slapped the wall. So, I mean, listen, Levine's a smart driver. He's not a rookie. You're right. It's more than likely he's good. But that's what you got to be wondering in your head. And if you're Justin Levine, you're probably looking down about every lap or so and just double checking. Am I still good? Am I still good? You know, and it's kind of reassuring yourself with that confidence you need to know that you're there. So then behind the Schlosser does come out about 15 seconds back to about where you thought he would. There's 11 to go here at the Michigan Speedway. And then behind them is Kilroe and Thorpe for your top 5. By the way, Dalton Kilroe, P4, as I said it out loud. Wow, that's an impressive run.
Had to start this race with pit road, got a couple of lucky cautions, and that's got to help him get back into contention. Edstrom has been faster in the last few laps, this time by just about dead even with a 1, but it's down. So I think Levine might have just picked up a little bit of extra pace here. Dustin Ping getting around Paul Satmary, way to the inside of the racetrack, in fact, as he does so. Now he's entering turn 3, and there is Dalton Kilroe running in that 4th place spot. Right now, he's got about 1.2 seconds on Michael Thorpe Jr., 1.7 up to Matt Schlosser, so still trying to chase a podium. And Kilroe did take tires, so he could still go after 3rd in the last 10 laps here.
Yeah, remember, that's the difference in these cars. You're right. I mean, Schlosser, Thorpe, I believe Zimmerman definitely did not take tires. So there's definitely some different ideas going on based upon their pit stop times. I believe Ty Maraska, I think, did take tires actually, and so did Zimmerman. Thorpe definitely did not. His whole pit delta, he being Thorpe, was only 31 seconds in his last stop. So that is not long enough to have put tires on. Same as Schlosser here we're looking at was 32 seconds line to line on pit road. So if you look at those times, you can kind of quickly tell who did and did not do what on pit road. Well, now the story's kind of heating up at the front here. That gap is slowly decreasing, Nolan. It was almost 9/10 of a second. It's down to 6/10 of a second between Edstrom and Levine, the teammates here. Remember, Austin Edstrom has already had some success in this league. I wonder now if he's willing to just kind of lay back and let his teammate win, or if he's going to make a run at it.
Well, remember, Edstrom is not out with the shout when it comes to the playoff season, right? He could still make the top 12, but it needs to get every single spot physically possible if he wants to try and make that run for it. So he is not down and out, but he needs to get every spot that he can possibly muster if he wants to have a chance on going for that spot. And granted, you take a look at some of the stats he has had. You know, first, second. The big kick in the knees for him was Bristol last week. Started last, finished last. It was not a good race. He needs to get every win possible, every point possible. He's not going to get that if he chooses to run second fiddle to Justin Levine.
And it's hard to believe that Levine can make up enough points to be top 12 in points by the time we start the playoffs. But listen, I've done nothing but sing the praises of Justin Levine. If there's someone who I think could come in mid-season and dominate and at least be in the picture, yeah, this is a good candidate, Justin Levine. He's a smart guy, well-respected driver. So we'll wait and see how this turns out. But now he's going to come up a little bit of lap traffic here. So we'll wait and see if these guys get in the way. I suspect they won't. Only 6 laps to go. So I'd be guaranteed that Levine's going to catch them, per se. Maybe he is, actually. Now as we see that gap close in the camera shot there.
Right now, Osipek with 293 points on his season. Austin Edstrom with 156. So Edstrom still with about a 140-point deficit. Critically right now, though, Nick Osipek is not having a good run. He's down to 18. So this is going to be a healthy handful of points for Austin Edstrom, especially if he can pick up a race win here. So, again, not out of a shout, but he's effectively in a must-win scenario for the next 4 weeks if he wants to fight his way into playoff contention. 5 to go.
And he must know that, because that gap is closed again. I said it was 6/10 of a second. Now it's 2/10 of a second here with 5 to go. So Edstrom is now picking up the pace a little bit. Maybe he wanted to lay back and make sure he had the fuel, because he is definitely running harder than he was before.
4 laps at the line. Edstrom gunning for his 3rd win in just 5 starts in the High Tide Racing League MFRD Race Design Premier Series. Justin Levine in just his 2nd start in as many weeks, trying to go for his 1st. Levine looking to go all the way to the top step after having such a horrid race last week.
Boy, remember, this is sort of just deja vu for Justin Levine. Was running well last week, led some laps. Now, last time he got bumped out, the lead was under caution, where he checked up a little too soon and got bumped out of the way during a caution. He had some major damage, never recovered from, but here we are now, 4 to go to come around again, and Levine is under attack. There's a menace in his back mirror known as Austin Edstrom.
3 to go, this time by. Lap traffic will get in the way. David Lakey, Scott Shire potentially more up the road. Edstrom faked high, trying to look down low. Levine covers the mark, and into the outside wall goes Justin Levine. Edstrom to the point on the backstretch.
Here we go. This is the pass you need. Now, right now, Dalton Kilroe's got to be excited. He knows these teammates are fighting. It just takes one piece of bad contact for Dalton Kilroe to take advantage of these two drivers beating and banging if that's what they decide to do. Levine's not going to give it up. Levine's going to be all over his back bumper. They're going to come to the line, Nolan, and they're going to have 2 to go at this track.
2 laps are left. Justin Levine still within striking distance. Edstrom trying to pull clear, but Levine has got all that draft to work with. Now they'll work their way down to the turn numbers 1 and 2, down the back straightaway. One more lap car could still play spoiler in this fight for the lead.
Remember, Nolan, once we get to the line, white flag comes out, all bets are off. We will not have a caution flag on the last lap. So once we get around here, and once Edstrom takes the line, it's just a race to the finish no matter what happens here. And I think Levine is falling back a little bit. Is he setting something up?
We'll have to wait and see. Taking the white flag this time by. 10th and a half between the two. Levine looking for the low side, trying to stuff something in. Gets to under a 10th, can't get to the back bumper at 1 and 2. Watches up the track. That might be game over. Austin Edstrom pulling away down the back straightaway, weaving left, weaving right, trying to break the draft from his frontline esports teammate. Edstrom down to the bottom side at turn numbers 3 and 4. Levine up top, won't be able to do anything about it. Austin Edstrom goes for the hat trick. It's win number 3 at Michigan International Speedway for the 87.
And a 1-2 for their team. What a great team finish.
Cannot underestimate the goodness of that for the team. Paul Satmary, I think, out of fuel as he comes around through turn 1.
It's been a long ride back around with that car sputtering to keep it down to the bottom lane, and he'll be safe here. And there's Schlosser coming around. You see him passing by the line here, so we'll wait and see for our official results. Oh, there's the 35.
So a couple of potential incidents here. Some celebratory rubs going on between teammates. Bit of roughhousing to close things out. Why not, right? Your teammates, you had a good fight, and it was a good fight. It was a clean fight between the two as well.
The great fight's what it was. Yeah, lots of great racing. See, Edstrom's going to get down in the grass here and keep it off the wall.
Nope.
No, never mind.
Marks for that.
Well, that car will not be going to another racetrack at that rate.
He'll burn it down in the middle of the infield. No regards at all for the lawn maintenance crew, as he'll put on a smoke show for Michigan International Speedway. Yeah, Michael Keithley with the crash after the checkered flag. We'll have to see if that was potentially with contact, and well, why not? Let's do some burnouts in Gator Victory Lane. Yeah,
one of the few tracks in that racing you can still get to Victory Lane, so why not get yourself a beautiful little screenshot if you can right there for the number 87 machine.
It's criminal. You should be able to go to all the victory lanes on every racetrack. Changed my mind.
Yeah, I can't do that. I tend to agree. But here, look at this.
Is that a technical failure?
No. I think he just...
Huh.
Is he just celebrating finishing? Like, I don't know.
That was after the checkered flag, so all's well ends well for Michael Keithley. But Austin Edstrom parks it in the infield. Only 2 cautions this race, and we went the back 3 quarters of this race green. 2 of them, they were both in the first 30 laps. Well, we'll get the chance now to take a rundown for official post-race results this afternoon. It was a wild one this afternoon, and it will give Austin Edstrom win number 3 and just 5 starts and his 4th podium to boot. Justin Levine finally, well, not quite finally gets a good race in. It's only 2nd race, but he does get a good race in. And I think we're finally seeing that pace come out from the 42 car. Delta Kilroe finishes 3rd with Schlosser at 4th. Then it's Thorpe, Zimmerman, Marasco, Pink, Gibson, and Bell to close out the top 10.
Moving back to P11, your last car in the lead lap, which is David Lakely. Then you got Paul Sathbury, we saw was out of gas there on the last lap. And you got Matthew Chastain, Bob Berry, Jonathan Canfield, Michael Ashmore, Craig Martin, Nick Osipek, all 1 lap down. That takes you back to 18th. 19th, 2 laps down is Anthony Marshall. And Michael Keithley, who you saw at the end of the race, 3 laps down in P20.
Scott Shire on back, did not finish this race. Shire ends this race 50 laps down. Tanamar was, Shire did finish this race, but he was 50 laps down, the last car to do so. Tanamar finishes 79 down, did not finish this race. Same for John Osborne, Benjamin Lacey, Jason Greenwell, and Kevin Foster found himself out of this race just 6 laps into 250 miles this afternoon. Overall, I don't think you could have asked for a much better of a Michigan race. Austin Edstrom for the 3rd time to victory lane, and we'll get the chance now to give a chit-chat to all the drivers that came home on the podium. And, we'll look to kick it off first and foremost with the Frontline Esports driver of Austin Edstrom, who will come home in victory lane this afternoon. A good, solid drive for him as we'll bring that number 87 car down into the broadcast booth, this time by Austin, your 3rd race win. You have finally done the hat trick. It's just unfortunate that such a strong run was upset by a DNF at Bristol just 1 week ago. But overall, 3 wins and 5 starts. How does it feel?
It feels pretty good. I've had to work for him, man. That's for sure. It's not like I'm getting them easy. It doesn't matter who it is, what week. It's been a battle, and Bristol, that was definitely unfortunate. Probably out of making the playoffs now, probably too far back in the points. We'll have to wait and see. So that kind of stinks. But hey, man, I'm here for race wins, here to cut it up with the guys that are out here. It was a weird strategy race where, I think there were 3 different strategies going on, so it really separated the field. I think there was a lot more talent, a lot more challengers that would have been up front if everybody was on the same kind of strategy. But, me and Levine picked the right one and got to duke it out at the end, and man, it was fun.
Kind of talk us through the strategy game this afternoon, because you were 2 of the guys that went on a bit of an alternate strategy compared to just about everybody else in the field.
Yeah, just whenever that caution came out, the last caution, I should say, I just knew that we had to save a tire set, and it's just always better to get it out of the way at the beginning. We've got admin controlled cautions, and at a big track like Michigan, the whole point of that is, for single car spins, not to throw a yellow. So I thought it was, pretty, not obvious, but a good bet that we were not going to see another yellow flag at some point. We were going to get a long green flag run, and I just knew we needed to save that set there. And as soon as that window opened, I would let Justin know, and well, we did that, and we're able to play a little bit of strategy off of each other after that. So just kind of keeping our eyes open and ears open, and just playing the strategy as it comes to us.
We take a look now on how everything's going to shake on up when we go racing again next week at Iowa. It's the last race of the 2024 calendar year. You're able to make up a lot of points on 12th place in the points this afternoon. Playoff run, do you think it's still alive?
Well, I said in that first answer, I thought it was kind of dead because of Bristol, but you never know. Some people miss a week here or there. I know if I keep finishing on the podium, I'm giving myself, as much of an opportunity as possible. So I'm going to keep showing up and keep trying. And next week I'm moving, so I should have better internet and shouldn't be a blinky boy anymore.
Well, hopefully at least, and we'll see how things are going to pan on out at Iowa Speedway. It's always a bit of a wild one whenever we go down there. Austin, thanks again for taking the time to join us. We will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Austin Edstrom comes home with the certified Harpoon Supra to take home the W this afternoon. We'll move on down to one Justin Levine standing by with Derek Watson at number 2.
Well, Justin, 2 races in here to the High Tide Racing League, and for the 2nd week in a row, you find yourself leading. That must feel good, right?
Always. Being up front's always a lot of fun.
So this week, a little different than last week. Last week, you found yourself, under an incident when a caution was coming out, get yourself spun out of the lead, never really got back there. But tonight, you and Austin fought really hard on a different pit strategy. At what point during that strategy did you know you had the fuel to make it?
Basically, once we took our second to last stop, so about I'm going to go with 70-something laps ago, Austin and I were talking back and forth. We did the math, and we knew we were going to be good, so our strategy played out perfectly. We were just worried about a caution, throwing everything ahead. But it worked out perfectly, as you can see, 1-2 for us.
Yeah, it worked out pretty perfectly indeed. Of course, you're well known across the service, and you keep yourself pretty busy. So I was not surprised to see the results coming here. But next week we go to Iowa. What's your experience at Iowa, and how confident do you feel that you can finally pull off a win?
I love Iowa. Iowa is one of my top short tracks that I always keep the date circled. Basically, you got to keep the tires on it and make sure you don't blow off the right front and avoid those bumps, because you hit them wrong, the car will snap and your race is done.
All right, well, welcome into the High Tide Racing League at P2 tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
All right, that's Justin Levine finished P2 here this evening, Nolan. And what an amazing race it was tonight.
It was a great race for him indeed, as he's able to come home with a solid race win here as well. And then we'll bring up Dalton Kilroe, has never failed to finish inside the top 10. And it is his second straight podium as well at Michigan International Speedway. Dalton, a solid race from you. You do finish a good distance off the mark for the top 2, but still, you're able to take home the top 3, and that's still great points on the mark and should be enough to maintain the points lead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know after missing the start from going and making a last-second adjustment to change the steering ratio, finishing third is about as good as I could have hoped for. You know, I was kind of surprised to see the field still behind me once it allowed me to come out of the pits. But I knew it'd be a long night, and just stayed focused on my race and my strategy, and sure enough, it worked out, and was able to bring it home P3.
Looking, looks like luck has been looking up on you a lot these last few weeks. You've been able to put together some very solid runs. You have made it to the playoffs twice in HTRL history. Now, that said, championship runs just haven't seemed to have gone your way, but with all the luck that you've been getting this season so far, is this your year?
Yet to be determined. I know I do. Just looking at the playoffs, I mean, Atlanta, Auto Club, those are about the only 2 tracks I actually like, besides Homestead. Everywhere else is just kind of survival, and just trying to put myself in a hole that I can't get out of. So we'll have to see kind of how things go there. Just kind of same deal. Just keep my eyes focused on what I got to do, and try to keep the car as clean as possible.
Iowa is going to be the next week on the schedule. We did race it once, but it was all the way back in Season 1 with the Gen 7 cars. It was not present on the Gen 4 calendar. What do you think we can expect to see then from Richmond's sister track?
Well, just because I know how Iowa is, it's going to have multiple lanes, at least in 3 and 4. I think 1 and 2 is going to be a little more single lane, but I feel like it's going to be racy, because you're going to be able to do a lot to just have that little variation in line, and potentially do like a slider through 3 and 4, or maybe just going into 1 and 2 if you get a run out of 4. You know, well, I think it's going to be a fun race, and hopefully we can keep putting on good broadcast for you guys. Or not good broadcast, good products for you guys to broadcast.
Oh, one could easily be both. We'll wish you the best of luck when we return. You got a podium last time we were out there. We'll see if it'll be the same this time around as well.
Yeah, that's the hope, man. Thank you.
Dalton Kilroe for Team MFRD comes home third out of Ormond Beach, Florida. And, well, with that, that's going to be about it for the racing action we got this afternoon here, Derek. That was a very solid race, though. I mean, I can't really complain much about what we saw this race. There was a lot of chaos last week, bit of chaos this week, but overall, nothing too much to complain about. That was a good race.
Now, chaos makes for great racing sometimes, makes for strategy calls, makes for decision making, and tonight it made for a wonderful night here at Michigan Speedway.
Next week, it'll be a trip down to corn country when we duke it out at the Iowa Speedway. All of that, and of course, there's still a lot more yet to come as well up on Green Flag TV. Coming up on Wednesday night, it's a trip down to South America in Brazil, where we will be seeing the Beer League trying to close out a championship. 2 races remain. We'll see if Alex Kovic wins the championship early. Derek and I will be back in the booth for Saturday night, where the SRA IL Truck Series will have their second preseason race over at Homestead Miami Speedway. And then, of course, the ASRL Winter Series kicks up again at Lanier National Speedway for twin 30-minute dirt features, first of the mini stocks and then the street stocks immediately following. Want to find out more about who we are? You can check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. In the meantime, My name is Udall Rempel alongside Derek Watson. Thank you again so much for joining us for more racing action on a Monday night. The championship continuing to pick on up. Dalton Kilwer extends the lead. Edstrom closes in ever closer to the top 12. It is still anybody's game to see who makes the playoff field. It's the last race of the count of the year coming on up for the High Tide Racing League at Iowa.